My name's Steve and this is Alfie, and we very often go into schools and we tell stories. Maybe we come into your school, in which case nice to see you again, or maybe you're from a school that we don't go to. Anyway, we're part of AssemblyTime, and we're going to be part of the folk who bring you some stories through this. If you've never met Alfie before, say hello, Alfie. Yes, he says hello. And we're going to tell you a story today. Do you remember, Alfie, a little while back in the middle of lockdown, we were talking about being helpful? About the man who stopped to help. That's right. We're going to have that story today. So I hope you're going to enjoy it.
No?
Oh, hi boys and girls. Alfie and I were just having a bit of a chat. We've been thinking back over the last few weeks, and the weeks of lockdown have been quite different, haven't they? They've been very interesting. Well, that's one way of putting it. But we've just been having a chat about the things that we've liked and the things that we haven't liked. What's been the best thing for lockdown for me? Oh, I don't know. I think being in the garden. Yeah, we've grown lots of lovely flowers this year, and we've done well. What do you mean we? I did all the work, you just sat and watched. You were my advisor. Yeah, thank you for that. What's the worst thing out of lockdown? Good question. I think not seeing people, because there's lots of friends and family we'd love to have seen, and they just haven't been around. And we've really missed seeing them. We've missed all the boys and girls from Castle Club, haven't we? Yeah, so we're looking forward to seeing you again sometime soon. But it's going to be good when we can meet up again, isn't it? Yeah. Aren't I going to ask you? Ask you what? What's the best thing that you've had out of lockdown? Okay, Alfie, what's the best thing you've had out of lockdown? Don't take all day. People being helpful. Well, that is good, yeah. People really have been helpful lately, haven't they? Yes, you've been helpful as well, thank you. And Oscar's been really helpful. I know, that's been the big surprise, isn't it? Because Oscar can be a bit of a pain at times, but he and Alfie have been getting on ever so well lately, and they've really been helping each other. You've become best of friends, I know. That's excellent. Well, actually, Alfie, we've got a story today about somebody who was helpful. It's called The Man Who Stopped to Help. So, shall we have the story? Is it a happy ending? Of course it's a happy ending. Do I ever tell you stories that don't have a happy ending? I don't remember any. This has got a happy ending. It's a story that Jesus told many, many years ago, and it was about a man who was going on a journey. And he was traveling from Jerusalem, which was way up in the mountains, high up in the mountains, to Jericho, which is way down deep in the valley. And you know, the road was a dangerous one. There were robbers on the road. Yes, I'm sure it's got a happy ending. And his friend said to him, you shouldn't travel this road on your own, you know. It's dangerous. But he said, no, I'll be all right. And off he went. But you know, although he was saying I'll be all right, he was a bit nervous. Yeah, it's silly to be in a place where you're not safe. I know, we're learning about keeping safe, aren't we? Yeah. But off he went, but every corner he came to, he'd look around the corner. Alfie, what you doing? You're looking for robbers. There aren't any, thank you. Well, to start off with, things were going okay, and there was nobody around, and he was starting to feel quite safe, until suddenly he turned one bend, and bang, right in front of him, there were some very nasty looking men. And they said, we want your money. Yeah, they did have big deep voices. And they took his money, and they took his luggage, and they took everything he had, and just to make it worse, they beat him up as well. And they left him lying on the ground in the middle of the road. Yes, I'm sure it's got a happy ending. Well, the poor man lay there. He couldn't do anything to help himself. And he kept thinking, I hope somebody comes along to help me because I really need help. And then he heard somebody coming down the road. And he opened his eyes and he thought, that's great. It's a priest. Now, a priest was somebody who had to work for God, and his job was to help people. And the man thought, he's going to stop and help me. I'll be all right now. Do you think he stopped and helped? No, he just walked by on the other side, as if he hadn't seen him. Yes, I'm sure this got a happy ending. Just wait. The man thought, why didn't he stop? Couldn't he see I'm badly hurt? Couldn't he see that I needed help? And then somebody else came down the road. It was what was called a Levite. No, not Levite, Levite. He was a man that worked in the temple. His job was to serve people, to look after people. And the man thought, he's bound to stop and help me. Do you think he did? No, he didn't. He just kept going as well. And the man thought, I've had it. I'm just going to die here. Yes, I'm sure it's got a happy ending. Because a third person came along, and the man opened his eyes and looked, and he went, It was a man from Samaria. Now, the people that came from the Samaria land, the Jews didn't like them. They didn't get on well with them at all. A bit like you and Oscar sometimes. And he thought, he won't stop to help. Samaritans hate us Jews. Do you think he stopped to help? He did. He did. He stopped. He got off his horse. He walked across to where the poor man was lying. And then he went back to his horse, and the man thought, he's going to carry on travelling. But he didn't. He unpacked his saddlebags and came back with a bottle of oil and a bottle of wine. No, they weren't going to have a party. He used the oil to soothe the man's wounds, and he used wine to clean them, because wine is good for an antiseptic. And he bent down and he bandaged up the man, and then lifted him up and put him on his horse, and very slowly and very carefully led the man all the way to the nearest inn. When they got there, he said to the innkeeper, have you got a bed for my friend? He's really bad. He's been hurt. And the innkeeper made up a lovely bed for him. And the Samaritan, he stayed there all night looking after the man, giving him food and water, and just making sure he was comfortable. The next morning, he was a lot better. But you know, the Samaritan, he wasn't satisfied. He went to the innkeeper and he said, look, here's the money to pay for the room, and here's some more money. Look after that man, make sure he gets well, and if you spend any more than this, next time I come along, I'll repay you. And off he went. And the man recovered completely. Now, is that a happy ending? Right. Now, which of those three do you think was the real friend? Who do you think? It was the man who stopped to help. Yeah, something to learn there, isn't it? Number one, always be ready to help. And number two, you can't always tell what a person is like just by looking at them. That wounded man thought that the Samaritan wouldn't stop and help, but he did. Sometimes, you know, boys and girls, people help us when we don't expect it. And you know what we've always got to do when that happens, don't you? Say thank you, yes. And you know, boys and girls, it had a happy ending. But the other two should have stopped as well, shouldn't they? They should be ashamed of themselves. Boys and girls, just think today of the ways that you can help. Of course, Jesus told us this story, and he was the one who came to help us. And Jesus said, if you're going to be my friends, this is the sort of person that you've got to be. I hope you are. Have a lovely day, and don't forget, it's always good to help. And Alfie says, see you soon. Bye for now.